if you feel in your heart that deep hell yes, I want to break through, I want to break all of my chains that I have in my life, you're warmly welcome to take my hand, and I will guide you on the way where you take a deep step into your heart and a big step into your soul. But I'm not here to push anyone onto this way. I'm just here to create this space.
You're listening to the Octave podcast, a coherent vision for the future of business. Welcome back to the Octave podcast. I'm here today with an incredibly visionary man, and we're going to talk about ending the cycles of suffering and what it really takes to create a better future, not just for ourselves, but on a collective scale. So we're really tapping into some big vision stuff here, and I really, truly, from the bottom of my heart, want to welcome Joshua Sting to the Octave podcast. Hello, Joshua. It's great to have you on today.
Hello, David. Thank you so much for the invitation. And I'm super, super stoked to do this podcast with you, to visionary and put something really, really incredible out here. And I'm super excited for the next upcoming minutes. And thank you so much for having me.
It was amazing because when we chatted about this podcast, I think we both had goosebumps going. That's always a good sign, right? It means there's going to be some big energy moving and some stuff that, is going to be juicy and valuable for people to listen to out there. So I think really what we're talking about today is the role of karma and ancestral trauma that gets caught up in people's lives. And one of the things I study is the gene keys. And the gene keys is a very interesting perspective because it's scientific and spiritual at the same time. One thing it says is that the junk DNA that we have, the 90 some odd percent of DNA that we possess, that science kind of writes off, is kind of the collective shadow of not just our ancestry, but our primal human existence. And even before that, when we were other species and the DNA was forming, when we were in the ocean, when we were microbes. And so there's a long history of things that went well that allowed us to create the form we're in today, but also imbalances in that mutagenic process. And really to move forward at this time in history, which is, I think everybody's feeling it at this point, what's happening. We don't know what it is, but we know there's a big change happening. And I think it's a time to revisit a lot of these collective shadows and ancestral trauma and karmic trauma, depending on how you look at it. Would you agree with that, Joshua?
Absolutely. What I see in the world right now is like these big shifts happening. And we see it like in polarity too. We have like this one side that is like developing very like spirituality and it's like really tapping into non-duality. And you have like this other side, which is growing too. And you see like more wars, you see like more separation in the world going on. So we have this one collective suffering, but we also have like this karmic suffering, but we have these light workers or like these spiritual warriors, how we want to call it, that stand up for it and take responsibility to heal it. And I feel like this big gap is something that will bring us into a brighter future, even though it feels right now like so intense because we are like stuck in it. But when we like pull our vision out and observe it from like a different perspective, we see like, oh wow, there's change happening. And then so we can see this polarity and kind of enjoy the whole process if we are able to get to this different perspective. So I'm super excited what is happening right now.
Yeah. And I was just laughing there because it's like, if we stop taking it personally, the stuff that's coming up, if we stop taking it personally and think it's just us or there's something wrong with us, we can relax a bit and we can step out and we can have that bigger perspective. So anyone listening, whatever you're going through right now, don't take it personally. We're all going through it in one way or another. But there is a personal manifestation of that. There's a personal expression because of the unique path that we've chosen for our karma, for our ancestry at this time in history.
Absolutely. Like what you're saying, don't take it personally. I mean, how hard is it? It's so hard. It's actually so hard to don't take like all these things personally. If someone is like saying something to you, like, I mean, I get caught up too. But I teach too, like, don't take anything personal, because there is nothing to take personal. It's just about like, okay, maybe I get triggered. It's a beautiful reflection, and then I'm going back to it. But if you can take a step back from taking everything personal, we see like, oh, there's a pattern. Oh, it's triggering me. And then there's this cool opportunity to step into it and heal it.
Yeah.
And it would be like so amazing if we can turn off the switch, like, so, and then be like, oh, I don't take nothing personally. And then life would be like so flowy.
It is. I'm in the same boat as you, where I'm holding space for people, I'm helping people, and going through my own process. Some mornings it's very heavy, and then I'll read something, or I'll remember something, or I'll relax, and there'll be an immediate shift, and it's like, lightness again. It's like, I don't think we're really going to get a break from the intensity for the next few years, but we can develop the muscles that'll allow us to have resilience for what is happening on this planet. And not just develop the muscles, but also going into those spaces where we're contracting, where we're holding on to these old patterns and bringing light to those so that they can harmonize with where we're heading. Not wasting energy, but transmuting it in a meaningful way of service.
And I feel like this whole personal process is so important. I feel like my whole personal process is needed to be in service, because how can I be in service when I don't have the experience? And sometimes I experience like such heavy stuff, and I'm like, why am I going through this? And then the next client is in the same situation. I'm like, oh wow, I see where you're at and I can help so perfectly. And it's like really to have like this wisdom and really experiencing it, so it's like embodied. And it's beautiful to see that you can have your own human experience and all these karmic patterns and living through it, but at the same time being in service. And also being in service is so often the reflection for yourself that you can get a mirror from the other side to heal again. So I feel like so often, like clients are just my mirrors. And then I'm like, wow, like I'm helping and I'm helping them, but on the same time, I'm helping me. But then it's like the question, okay, where's like the separation between you and me? Is it not like the same? And then we tap like from duality into non-duality. And it's like, wow, like so amazing. And exploring it together. And this is the beautiful thing about like, I feel like human connection, because we are in a kind of way like incarnating, and through human connection we feel like this melting into each other, and like then everything builds up, and we recognize like how beautifully it is to just fall into each other and helping each other. Like I was missing such a huge part in my life until I recognized, wow, I just want to be in service. I just want to help people. And then I just searched a way to help people. And since then I feel like so fulfilled by being in service, because it's like being in service for something bigger, and on return it's like coming back to me like all the time.
It's ironic in a way, right? Because we think we'll lose ourselves when we're in service, but actually we gain our uniqueness. We gain ourselves through that process because we step into bigger shoes. We expand our influence and we signal to the universe that we want to be part of the cutting edge of conscious evolution. We want to play a role in that. And so any skills, any resources we need, they come to us in that process. And we're also going to be reflected through that of the parts of us that might still be holding on to something, right? It's always a cocktail until you get to a certain point, until you really learn how to dance on the razor's edge. And this is kind of one thing I kind of want to speak to people like ourselves who are both holding space and both feeling it, is that sometimes we're like, where do we start? How much do we have to heal ourselves before we can be of service? And I think that there's a minimum amount of healing that needs to take place, but don't get too caught up in the healing loop. Especially in Bali, there's people that stay on the healing loop and they just keep going in that direction. and they don't actually create forward momentum. They stay in motion of a hamster wheel of digging and digging and digging. But really, the thing they need to do is actually switch gears and start serving something that is purposeful, serving something that has impact, because that process allows us to heal in new ways. If our creativity gets blocked and stagnant inside of us, it can manifest as anxiety and confusion when it just needs to flow through us.
Absolutely. Like, and I can see it with so many people, like people going on their healing journeys, and we see it like they transmute the energy like from lower vibration, quote unquote, energies, and then they slowly tapping into like higher energies. But then there comes with time, how you say it, the manifestation of anxiety. And why does it come? Because people don't follow the energy like that the soul wants to follow. And actually, being in service is the vibration of love. It's such a high vibration, but people don't go into service because of a lower vibration. It's fear. And then it's about like breaking through this fear. And what I see is like people going on the healing path and then they develop like amazing skills. They gain experience. But the next step then is to commit on this path. And I see it like you. You need to have like certain amount of experiences to really know like who you are. How do you want to express in this world? What what are you here for? What is your gift? And if you know this, put yourself out, go and experience something, because then you will know, and you will know on the way. And through the service, you will always get the reflection back and can adapt and learn. Like for me, it was like kind of the same. Like I was stepping into like coaching, and I would say, like, of course, like I coach now very differently than in the beginning. But I needed to go through all these experience, through all these clients to finally grow. But the good thing is I just were pulled into coaching. And then it's like, you do this now. And I'm like, wow, okay. And then I learned and through experience. And this was like so beautiful because now I get so many clients and they go on the healing path. And then they are like on the edge, like, I want to help people. And the next vibration is fear again. I'm not good enough to help. Can I earn money with this? Maybe they want to charge like lower amount of money and don't see the worth. Like it's going back to core wound. It's like you heal, you spiral up, another great fear comes, and then go into the cave, slay the dragon again, and then go into the act of service and be like unconditionally do something without expecting anything back, and you will like rewarded for that. And even like desires come up, it's okay, feel it, heal it, and then go in service again. And I feel like this is such a necessary way for people to go into experiences, because in, in places like Bali, Guatemala, like all these spiritual places, I met so many incredible people, but they don't put themselves out or they don't see their value. And this is something that makes me sad because we need more people that go out and heal and see their worth. We have some people with such a great amount of money and power, and then we have like the spiritual people that don't see themselves. But what if we like spread the energy of money to more like spiritual people so we can have like more influence? And this is something where I just want to empower people and feel like, hey, when I coach people, like empower them like to go all in.
It's funny because that's very much reflects my journey. My journey was healed first, help people, and I was helping people and doing similar work with karmic and ancestral healing and repatterning. And then when I saw them break through, I'm like, I naturally want to support their business like I had grown mine, because that transition of money from those who've made it without heart just by, exploiting gaps in the market essentially and finding these maybe base needs that they could fulfill for people. They do it without heart. They just sort of say, oh, there's an opportunity, I'm going to take it. There's a skill set with that. But if it's done without heart, it causes more suffering in the world. And those that have heart also, they might not see their place in the world because the old patterning of the world and the old systems of the world, they serve and they benefit those who just go out there and exploit opportunities. So there's a natural recoil when it comes to self-promotion, when it comes to marketing, when it comes to sales, and these big words that are necessary, right? Like you have to, you have to ask for some medium of exchange for your service, even if it's a donation. You have to do that. And so you have to get comfortable with embodying that and saying, this is what I charge. This is the medium of exchange. So in order to make that transition of money from those who have it that exploited the market and those that don't have it but have a big vision, the people with the big vision, they need to learn some of those skills and they need to claim the active force within them. Because a lot of the time when we heal, we get into a more passive inward mode. We dig deep within ourselves. Then that switch of gear comes in the expression, into the active role of going out and building something. And it is a balance of inwardness and externalization. And so sometimes it's like when we've been negatively conditioned by the system, we think, oh, the masculine, the active force, it's no good. The left brain is a problem. But we have two hemispheres of the brain, and nature doesn't generally create things to waste.
Absolutely. What I see like about the energy exchange is like it's so cool to see like a certain pattern. Like we're coming from like so many people that come from like an economical Western standard. Is like, okay, I work 9 to 5 and they are in this conditioning, and then they go through like spiritual awakening, and then it's like, oh, money is bad and everything. And I just want to be loved and share. And this is cool and necessary process. But then at some point you're kind of stuck because you're now in this all is one state, all is love. But at some point you kind of need to survive. And then money is one form of energy, how you survive here in this world, like paying rent, buying good food to nourish your body, to worship it, and so on. And there's like this part that I saw too. Like I was I was starting doing coaching, getting money, and then in the beginning I was like, wow, it's so crazy. Like I was working so much before, and I got like less than I earn now, and it was like, am I worth it? And all this stuff, and I needed to work through it. And then I like wanted to leave the stage of economical things and exchanges, but then I saw like I need to survive, and I was in this gap. And I see like this transition from all is love, all is one to okay, I need to go back, learn how to market myself, and how to learn like basic fundamentals like sales, and then push up, and then I can go like being in service, getting in an energy exchange, and help other people on the way. So we create a win-win-win situation. And I feel like this is a beautiful path for spiritual people to see like that we're talking about consciousness, and we are one consciousness, but we don't really see that money is the same. Money is a form of consciousness too. But if we have like always resistance to consciousness, it's like we are resisting a part of ourselves, and we putting a part of ourselves away, so we cannot fulfill our like human needs and spiritual needs to fulfill everything that we want. Imagine like we value the part of freedom. Like we have the value of freedom and we want to travel or doing things, but we are restricted by the energy of money. And we're kind of blocking ourselves because money naturally wants to flow to us because we are like a magnet. And if we are like resisting and pushing it away, it's like one part of us that we are not integrating in us. So it's like so interesting to see like how all these patterns come together and how it's always about this balance of how we see things. It's not about like being like Nestle as a spiritual person and rip off some water or something like this.
I mean, the real fundamental thing comes down to, do we want to help people or do we want to deceive people so that we get our needs met, right? And I think if money is the basis, is the pinnacle, the goal, we'll do anything to get money. But if the goal is service, then we'll do anything to help people. And money is a part of that that supports it. It's a vehicle for service. So I think what happens is the prioritization changes. If we focus on service, we open up to receive it, it will flow into our lives. And yeah, that means that sometimes service will ask us to do things that are uncomfortable. Sometimes service will ask us to, reach out to people and say, "Hey, I do this. Is this something you need?" It sounds like it. I can see it from what you're saying and communicating that this service might be useful for you. And if they say yes, then it becomes a dialogue. They're interested. It's not a reason to contract. It's a reason to say, this is the service I can help you with genuinely. And if you can't help somebody with something, don't promote it.
So it's so funny. Like I got this vision how I started coaching, and it's about like doing qualification calls and all of this stuff. So you
Mhm.
get the first contact, and I do voice messages. And I had such a huge resistance to do it because I felt like I need to sell something. And this felt like, and I got like this conditioning from my past. I don't want to get like that someone sells me something because this is bad. And I got like, I'm now on a different side. So I was training doing voice messages for 3 to 5 hours for 1 minute voice message. And I got such a huge resistance. And now I'm in such a different perspective of looking at these things. It's about what I'm doing actually is I'm going into a deep service. I create a space in myself where I push everything of me away, every desire, and just go into like this pure state of seeing this person, how this person shows up in this individual moment, and give this person exactly what this individual person needs. And then it's like a pure act of service, and there's like nothing in the way. And so I'm like so fine with every exchange that is coming their way. Because I know when people invest in me, the investment in some time will return. And it will be like bigger than they invested. And this is the funny part about investing in yourself. And then I see like this evolution of this person. And I feel like every person that's like standing before a point of like huge change. Because I know when people are like so close to committing on a coaching with me, they are like, I don't know, and they are so contracted. And I'm like, it's your decision. You can jump and trust, and you will see. Because I know what they will experience. And if they go into this process, at some point they are like clicking, and then they change and evolve. And I pray so often for people that they see themselves, because they will take my job at any point. And I'm like, this is totally cool. Like, if you get clients and get a good amount of money and do the same as I do, it's cool because we need like more people. And then it's like this win-win-win situation that I spoke about, because they go into their shadows, they learn to like maybe coach themselves in their unique style, in their vibration. And they can do something that I really love from their heart and being in service too. And this is like this incredible thing, I feel like, where we can just ripple out love if we are able to make a commitment for ourselves and really commit on why we truly are here on earth, and not being like so limited by things we see, and especially by these money belief systems that holding us back from stepping into our soul's purpose.
Yes. It's really more than business because when we're serving our life's work, we'll do anything to serve that life's work. And we'll do anything to be of service to people, even if they're not a client. We'll go to them and say, like, this is the value here. We'll present the value. But if they say, I'm not ready for it or I don't want it, and say, well, I'm here to help you. So if I can't help you now, maybe later. If I can't help you at all, maybe I can refer you to somebody who can, right? Somebody who really aligns with you, or something to look into. And so a lot of the time when I'm talking to people, I genuinely just want to help them. And then it happens that I can help them in most cases. And in the cases I can't help them, I will still give something of value to them. So what happens is they remember that, and they remember, hey, I like this guy. This guy's cool. Maybe they like my content. Maybe they email me later or down the road or something. So when we have that perspective of serving our life's work, everything works out. The yeses work out, the no's work out. And, you know, it's you're right though. There's a lot of conditioning that people have to go through in that process. And there's a new level of healing, a layer of healing when we step into our life's work, because now we have to meet shadows. We don't have to deal with the shadows of marketing and sales and speaking to people when we're on our first stage inward journey. That comes in the next journey when we go out there to share our gifts.
It's like this podcast feels like a whole reflection of what I was going through. It's like this huge resistance and these desires I had. Now I'm talking about business. And inside of me, there's like one part giggling because it I'm not really doing business, because what I'm doing is just being an objective by spirit that allows spirit to move through me. And I know when someone talks to me, they are here for like some reason. And I don't believe like that something is like happens randomly. It's like there's this purpose. So I'm sitting here with this new person and I'm curious. And then I just open up a space in myself to give this person a space to bring something into this room. And I open up this room with safety and everything. And they open up. And in most cases, like you described, I can help this person. And if this person decides to, hey, this doesn't align with me, I need more space, I need to think, no, all these things, it's okay. Because what my part in this moment is to create something where this person can show her or himself, and there will be something, and you can give value. But in most cases, when people open up and show me what they went through, I see their karmic pattern. And I see this one side of karmic incarnation, and I see like, that's why you are here. And I can show them the way how to come to this side and how to serve like spirit or whatever you want to call universe. And if they want to commit on this path, I'm here. I'm supporting you all the way. I'm putting everything of me, my ego on side to just support you on your journey, because I went through it too. So you can do too. I'm just your mirror and you're my mirror too. So we're kind of equal. But maybe I have some experience and can help you. And if people, and this is brave, like it's such a brave decision to commit and take responsibility for all these karmic things that we are here for. At some point, I feel like it's necessary that we do the work, but I'm the last person that's saying you need to do this and this. No, if you feel in your heart that deep hell yes, I want to break through, I want to break all of my chains that I have in my life, you're warmly welcome to take my hand, and I will guide you on the way where you take a deep step into your heart and a big step into your soul. But I'm not here to push anyone onto this way. I'm just here to to create this space, to be in service. And this is not something that was like easy. It was like huge shadow work on myself. Of course, I had desires. In the beginning, I wanted to do like money. And I'm like, yeah, okay. But then I saw like, wait, this desire of money is putting the need of money into the room. And then I think about money instead of listening to this person. And the more I put money away and just open up the space for the person and open up the space in me to be present with this person, I saw like that money is at some part not the point anymore, because it's about the moment where I feel deeply connected to this person. And then I feel like okay, I deeply want to work with this person, and this person wants deeply work with me. And then is money just the next step? And if they commit, they commit. If not, it's cool. But it's such a huge work. It's such a huge work to put away all these desires. And such an important step. Like this is like the whole thing about spiritual work, shadow work, is putting away these desires. And of course, like they come up. I'm not a guru. I'm just a human being trying to break free from this and serve. And I feel like being in service is one way to be free.
There's a lot of power in that. There's a lot of wisdom in your experience that you shared, in the vulnerability of saying, I had the desire for money. I did too, man. And I realized that desire was based on a fear of survival. Because when I stepped out of the corporate world, there was no longer a salary. If you want to eat, you want to sleep somewhere, you want to pay your bills, you've got to generate money in a way. Now, how do you upend yourself from that basic survival need into full trust? That is a journey in itself. And when you get that lesson in life, you become, in a way, invincible. There's a level of invincibility because the whole system that the shadow world or the 3D world operates in is based on money. It's an economic transactional world, right? And so if you can show that you're not rooted in the fear element of that, the shadow element of that, but you're existing in trust and love, beautiful things happen. That's where all of the synchronicities arise from. That's where you are able to see, because you're no longer seeing through this filter of I need to make money. You've removed that and you're just like, I am here to help this person. And I would really love to transition now into discussing what it's like to play a role in helping to facilitate healing on an ancestral and karmic level for people. What does that entail? What does that look like?
For me, the first step is truly seeing the individual as something that it is, an individual. Often we see like people with like basic, okay, I will just help and I will apply my system doing nine weeks of mentoring, and that's it. And I went through a process where I saw like, no, this no longer serves me. I want to work like really individually. So I needed to let go through all these things. So what I'm doing in the first step is being unconditional, inviting this person to a space. So I see when the person comes into my space, there's like some commitment. And when this person feels safe, they open up so immensely and so quickly to me. And then I see like this person telling their story. It's history, like his story actually. And so I see what happened in their life. And through this telling, I can connect to their vibration, to their energy. And then I see like this happens. But then I'm going on another plane and observing like this whole life from above and seeing, it's not about this. It's like, this is what the person should learn. And then I see like, okay, then I'm inside of me, there's like this huge, this cosmic giggler guy. Like I'm giggling and I'm like, like people telling me their story and it's like so hurting, and I feel them, but I see like this is not why they're here. And I, with this humor, I can see, okay, this person is for this year. And then I open up the space for myself and can say like, hey, dude, like I know where you're at right now maybe feels uncomfortable, but what if you're here for this, and this is what you're here for? Like, do you know how powerful you really are? And then on the way of coaching, setting up spaces to show them what I see and show them these karmic patterns, explaining these unique core wounds they have. Like we have like huge safety wounds, especially in the spiritual community. We have like huge safety wounds. That's why we are like all so psychic going into the upper chakras. But in the lower chakras, we are like feeling not safe and there's no energy. So we can go back into like all these patterns. Because I know from the history what they experienced, I know which parts are to heal. I see their karma. And then I go step by step into their karma. And I just use my intuition, what they need right now, if it's like meditation, emotional release, whatever. There's like so many things, like shamanic things. And I just give them what they need to heal their unique karma, but then also putting them on one perspective. Like I studied so much and experienced like so much. And I saw like that everything that we are doing, every religion, every guru goes into the same essence. It's always the same what we are doing. And this is like coming back into consciousness, something that isn't born, something that we cannot observe. It's what we truly are. And at some point, with Open Your Spirit, the company, we asked ourselves, okay, you can drink ayahuasca, do plant medicine, and we do meditation and all of this, but we are still suffering. But why? And it's because we are clinging. We are clinging and attached to something, and then we suffer. But if we can be in a state of consciousness and observing that all these things arise and go, like thoughts, emotions, and stuff, and we're not attached to it, we can go into like bittersweet state. I had this experience back in Germany where I needed to experience it on myself. I felt like so disconnected to the world, and I felt like so many negative emotions. But at some point, I was feeling this disconnectedness and feeling all these negative emotions, but I could observe it. And then I was like feeling bad, but could observe it and being enjoy at the same moment. And I'm like, wow, this is bittersweet right now. And then I saw like this power. And then I saw like this first rule of the universe. Everything is energy. And then it's like different to know like all these hermetic rules and stuff, but experiencing is like so different. So I use all these karmic patterns and then going into like bringing them to the essence that they don't need to suffer anymore. And I'm not saying that I'm there all the time. No, it's most of the time like the opposite. Like I need to like go through all of this and starting to dissolve my own karma to coming to the space of like, oh, wow, interesting. Like I'm coming back to consciousness. And this is what I'm doing with all these people, seeing them as who they are, humans with their own history. And we are going kind of so crazy into like non-duality and we are all one. But I experienced on myself, like I flew into like spirituality because I don't want to face my shit. Like I was so afraid. And then I went back into like, okay, let's look into my shadows. And through like going into my shadows and feeling it, like I went through this all process. Huge, actually, like when I'm talking about it's like such a huge journey.
Yeah. It's like there was the alpha and the omega in that monologue there. You had it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I want to really speak to that thing you're saying is really what we're looking at is that pure beingness, right? That freedom from the laws of reality. Because if we're existing on a lower order of reality, we're subjected to more laws due to our attachment to things. And when that happens, naturally there's suffering. And I think it was beautifully said when he said, what's that thing that we're clinging to at a core level? that when we cling to that thing, it's sort of the epicenter of the suffering that then creates other forms of suffering, other attachments in these areas. And when you step back and you finally reach that place, that's that thing that can then shift it for you. And you can step into the freedom of beingness, the freedom of pure consciousness. And it's interesting because, like, if you look at any of these modalities out there, that's all what they're pointing to, right? They're all saying the same thing, right? And that's kind of why spiritual marketing is funny, because it's all saying, like, be your best self, the true essence. Like, it's just, it kind of loses meaning when you hear it so much. But what it ends up being is the pathway that a person wants to walk, right? So there's a particular individual or type of individual who would truly resonate with you, and then that might be somebody else that resonates with a slightly different variation to help them get to that same place. So the destination is a convergence. The pathway to get there is largely individual. And I believe that that's really what people want to experience in life, is they want to experience life of unity, of freedom, of feeling interconnected with other people internally and externally in whatever capacity that can support them. And I feel like too, like, that's on an individual level, but over the coming decades, we're moving towards that on a communal level. I had the honor when I was about 24 years old. I was on a retreat in Canada on the West Coast in the rainforest, and there was a meeting of the top government psychics, visionary scientists, and politicians. They were all meeting there at the same place. I was there for a guitar retreat, so I was playing music, but they happened to be there. So I was sitting in the hot tub with these kind of executives not just executives though, because there was a level of consciousness, but they were exploring what the world would look like in the year 2050. And the psychics, the scientists, and the thought leaders, they all kind of realized that the best outcome would be small communities of 500 to 1,000 people spread across the globe, living regeneratively, but living in a way that's harmonious on a communal and a social level and on an environmental level. And in order for that to happen, we have a lot of green parties now, we have a lot of social justice, but if it's not rooted in divinity, it loses its meaning. It will eventually die out because it doesn't have a source of that energy. So we have to come back to that state of pure consciousness and total coherence with life itself in order to actualize this. We can't just fabricate this on an intellectual level and try to go there. It actually has to be built from the ground up. And so I believe the work you're doing, the work I'm doing, the work many of us are doing in this day and age is supporting the natural evolution towards these communities of the future that can actually do that. And we do the best we can with where the world's at now and the speed in which it actually changes, which is, let's face it, a bit slower than we'd all hope for.
I feel like if we would all take it a bit slower, just a tiny bit, it would benefit us so much. Personally, I feel so rushed in everything I'm doing. Like, so simple, like standing in the supermarket at the line and feeling rushed. And I'm like, why? Why is this? And then I see, like, in my past conditioning. And it's so beautifully, what I can see is, the more individual we get and the more we live out who we truly are, the core is that we seek community and we seek like this more calm life. But I feel like we needed to experience this past life, this conditioning, especially in the Western world, to see that it doesn't serve us. Like when I look back at the people that in my life in Germany and at the people who are doing their things right now there, I feel like I kind of imprisoned myself in this system. But I didn't knew that I would put myself in prison until I recognized like there's this feeling in me that wants to break free from everything. I did it, and now I look at this and I'm like, wow, okay, this is not what my soul wants. And the more I am just being myself and slow down and being with my closest friends, I just want to live with them in a close community. And then it's like so important to be an individual because we all have our strengths. Like we have our weaknesses and we have something that we are like so good at. So I feel like in this whole process, it's so much needed to be an individual. And I feel like spirituality, one way is like into unity is like being an individual and then recognizing that we are all one. So I
Yes.
can see it too. I can see too that it will go to like these community point. I feel like the more you tap into yourself, you will recognize how much you really desire to be around people you deeply love and to share this time with them.
You know, in recent scientific discovery, we discovered the DNA, the strand of DNA. And DNA speaks to all the things you're talking about today because it's our ancestral memory, our genetic memory, and it's also our potential, and it's our own unique blueprint. It's completely unique for every person. And at the same time, our DNA can be changed epigenetically by allowing light into it, allowing light to converge there. And so, really, what you're speaking to is the allowing of light to be completely subsumed into oneness and remaining and activating that completely individual component within each person. So as we go into oneness, we don't all end up looking like the same monks wearing the same clothes with the same shaved head. And it's like, wow, it's like this army of the Borg. It's not like that at all. It's like we're this vibrant ecosystem of everybody with their own talents and their own specialization that are working together and supporting each other. And that's the interdependent nature that's possible for people. And I think that's absolutely wonderful. And that's really what people should embrace is if you want to find your uniqueness, it's not found in obsessing over yourself. It's found in relaxing. And the other thing I want to talk to, because that thing on timing, and I will admit it too, I rush, I get impatient. And that's when things go wrong. Because what that is that's the mind saying, I know better than natural timing. I know better than the immensely powerful calculations of natural law and flow that are going to make sure that I meet the right people at the right time. I'm doing the right thing. I'm at the right place. We're superseding that. And therefore, we often have a lot of backtracking to go over when we rush. And so, relaxing into that natural flow is such a virtue. Patience, I heard it once is that patience is more advanced than enlightenment. And if you really contemplate that, it's true, right? We can have all the realizations and all the hits. And if we're still like sitting at the grocery store and like, come on, hurry up, or on the motorbike in Bali and zooming in and out of traffic because we want to get somewhere quick, well, unfortunately, we're still operating from the mind and the mind's idea of what's right and wrong. And we're not truly acting from that place of service. So it is something I will admit I have not mastered patience, but in those moments where I've found that, and this is one of them, this conversation, I can say I'm feeling patience in my body, mostly because you exude this energy of just like beingness. I can tell, even without your words, that you're very much connected with the work that you do. And that work that you do connects you with Source.
Thank you. Like I truly appreciate this. And for
Yeah, man.
me, I can go so deep on this. And what I see, like I'm highly conditioned guy. And obviously like I'm not always this grounded, super spiritual being. I'm in like actually I was today in traffic in Bali driving to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and being like so rushed. But then I observe it. And what when you were telling what you were like speaking about is what came up is we created this world where we separated from our true nature. And this is why we're feeling so off. Like I feel sometimes so off to my nature. And I'm like, wait, why do I feel so uncomfortable inside? And then I see myself rushing from A to B. But what I really want to do is just sitting at a waterfall and playing my flute, for example. It's like basic, like slow down. In my like my soul right now craves so much peace and ease because I could see like the past years I was rushing so hardly. And now I'm realizing like, what? Like everything that I was conditioned to is not who I am. And this is why I see like we got like it's if we talk about karmic pattern, we can talk about the karmic pattern of like society and community too. We incarnate in a karmic pattern of like feeling rushed, feeling so disconnected, like everything disconnects us from our true selves and from nature. And this is like only one side of polarity, and we will come to the other side of polarity right now. And this is like community. This is like ease. This is like flow. This is like acting from the heart. And then this is the way to unity again. So it's so interesting. So interesting to observe like all of this and a beautiful journey to just being mirrored by all of us and by all the things that we're living through. It's not about mastering all these things. It's just about actually allow life to live through us and then learn. We don't need to know. We just need to rest. Like you said it so beautifully. Just rest, take a deep rest into ourselves and allow and then life gets really easy. And then the mind says, no, it shouldn't be that easy. Oh, and then we see like and then we see again this clinging.
It's funny, my mentor, he had a sense of humor. And he was giving a talk, and there was this one sentence that stood out because it was said quite humorously, but he said, we all started off as, he's a very American. He's very like, so he has this very way of talking. He's like, you all started off as exalted beings, and you got curious, you came down and you played in the mud and you got caked in the mud, and now all we're doing is shaking the mud off to become exalted beings again. That's kind of what this whole transit is, right? And so like, it's not necessarily getting somewhere. It's just we got curious and maybe picked up a little bit of things along the way, a little bit of dirt, and you just shake it off and you get light again. And I mean, it's hard to see that when it plays out personally because it feels different, but that's really the big picture, folks. Anyway, Joshua, this has been such an incredible discussion today. This podcast has really, it's felt so good in my body to be talking to you, in this, on this level of like, you know, what's real. The challenges are real. Yes. Being honest about them, being vulnerable, but also talking about the solutions and what's possible. And so anybody listening to this, if they want to find out more about you or anything like that, how can they do so? What's the best way? What's your favorite way for people to get in touch?
Favorite way of getting in touch is just Instagram, joshua.sting. And yeah, just connect there, feel into the energy. And if you feel something to share, just share.
Lovely. And if anybody's listening and they want to get regular, musings, advice on conscious business, I've got a newsletter you can sign up to. It's below. Usually I've got a freebie right now. I'm just saying, if you want to stay in touch, the newsletter is great. I've also got a software platform that's kind of like a mycelium network for holistic practitioners called Resonance. There's a 21-day free trial with a bunch of bonuses. You can check that out as well if you're looking for the structural support with growing your business. And so that's really the ad pitch at the end, because at the end of the day, we are people that are doing something and offering a service, so make that service known. And for Joshua, he's a very personable guy. From the sounds of it, if somebody reached out, I think they would get a very warm welcome from you, and you would honor them and you'd make them feel very comfortable and safe at doing that. So I think that, to me, is a wicked deal. So if you're feeling it, if you feel this conversation, please reach out to Joshua. And I'm sure you will not be disappointed in any way, folks. Okay. Thank you so much. And yeah, it was lovely having you, man. Like, I got no words for it, really.
We don't need it.
We don't need words.
No. We meet in the energy behind that. I truly appreciate the invitation, David. I truly appreciate our talk and loving to twirl around of all these planes of consciousness, but especially in humanness. I really love to be human.
Human and consciousness. I mean, we don't, as spiritual beings, we don't mess up the spiritual parts. We usually mess up the human parts.
Absolutely. Oh,
All right, man. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
thank you, David.